Recovery Concepts and Consulting, and you are watching Rehab for the Soul, sessions number 4, Spirituality versus Religion. Yes, I said the dirty R word, religion. We're going to be talking about it today, but don't panic, because the goal of today's talk is I want to give you guys a working definition for the word spirituality and for the word religion. We're going to compare the two, and we're going to kind of demystify the confusion and the negativity that kind of surrounds these concepts. So, you know, spirituality and religion, guys, are probably the two most talked about concepts. They're kind of hot buttons, and they're also the most misunderstood concepts. And I don't know about you, but anytime I'm looking for some sort of clarification on spirituality and religion, I never find any good definition that I really can hold on to, or I can really feel. So that's what I'm going to do today, guys. Very simple, very easy, like we always do. We keep it light, we keep it fun, and we have a good time in here, right? Okay, so let's get to it. So up here, we've got spirituality and religion. I have us all set up. And so when we're talking, always we want to start with spirituality. And what do we mean here? That's right, we mean soul. And spirituality is just the concept of us, that we are a soul. We don't have a soul, we are a soul, and we live through this body. All right, if you haven't tuned in to the previous videos, please go ahead and do so, because we just build and build and build like layers on top of these concepts. So we have spirituality, meaning the soul. So let's start with spirituality. That's always the foundations. So I want to give you guys an easy, workable definition for that. And what I usually say is spirituality is simply the relationship between, a relationship implies what? That it has to be between two or more people, right? So spirituality is the relationship between you and higher power. I got my HP there. That stands for higher power. Higher power. Oh, now we're getting into some even more dirty words. See, everybody thinks that like 4-letter words, like, Miss April's words that she uses in some other videos that I might use in this video, I don't know. But, 4-letter words are the bad words. But really, sex, religion, higher power. What's the other dirty word that you say and people like kind of lose their minds about? God, right? God. So spirituality is the relationship between you and higher power. Some people want to say God here, but what is higher power? We have to take it at an even broader concept than that. So if spirituality is the relationship between you and higher power, keep it simple, there's two things that you have to understand here, right? You have to know and you have to have awareness of. Number one is you have to have awareness of self, because you are in the relationship. And number two, you have to have an idea of higher power, or I'm going to give you a better word here. Instead of higher power, let's use higher consciousness, higher awareness. Okay? What does that mean to you? I'm going to give you these ideas, and they're going to be general and broad so that you can more tailor them to you. All right? So I can't give you the answer or the meaning behind this. You have to come to it, but I'm going to give you kind of like the blueprint map on how you can get there. Okay, so if we keep it simple, the relationship between you and higher power, that's the definition of spirituality. Very simple, but simple doesn't equal easy, because if you're in a relationship, you have to have an understanding of who. You have to have a really good understanding of you and your consciousness, your awareness Now remember, we talk about higher power, God, soul, source, universe, energy, Buddha, all a Tao. I don't care what you call it. See, we want to fight over what we call this, all right? I mean, we fight wars about this, about these two concepts here, guys. So, very important. But I don't care what you want to call this. Just know that you are it, okay? And if you are it, spirituality, if we really, really break it down to the basic concept, spirituality is the relationship between you and you. You and higher self, right? You and higher consciousness. And so when we talk about, God, higher power, higher consciousness, awareness, we always want to think that that's someplace outside of us, okay? And it's not. It's in you. And that's why these ideas that I'm teaching you are so important. If you're constantly looking for a God of your understanding outside of you, you're not going to find it, okay? You have to tap into you to find it. And they say that prayer is you speaking to God. Well, meditation, intuition, that's God answering you. So when you're talking or searching to find higher consciousness, higher awareness, universe, Buddha, Allah, Tao, energy, stop looking for the answer out here. And it's not up here. It's not even here. It's here. It's in the gut. That's God speaking back to you. That's higher power speaking back to you. That's your awareness. That's you communicating to higher consciousness. Okay? I know these terms are big. I know these concepts are new and evolving, but really they've been around for thousands of years. Okay? I'm just taking it back to basics, and we just want to demystify these terms because there's really no need to have any type of feelings or feel, as they say in the yo, a certain type of way about any of this. Okay? Very simple. So, spirituality, the relationship between you and you. You, higher consciousness, that's you also. So we really can't separate the two. Got it? Makes sense? I knew it would because you guys are very smart. So, spirituality, dun dun dun, moving on to religion. Right? Everybody has their own idea of this. But religion, and keeping things very simple, if spirituality is the relationship between you and higher power, higher consciousness, you and you, then religion is simply a vehicle. Okay? A vehicle that strengthens the relationship between you and higher power, you and you. Very, very simple. Okay? So, what are some examples here? There's so many different religions out there, and I'm not going to pretend that I know every single one. I do have a functional vocabulary that's, fairly vast about this concept here, but we want to keep it general, okay? So, if religion is simply in theory, right? Theory and how things play out in real time are always two different things. Religion, the vehicle that strengthens the relationship between you and higher power, you and you. So in other words, religion should be a subset to spirituality, meaning religion should strengthen your spirituality. All right? So spirituality is the base, and religion should be something that just helps amplify it, helps elevate it. Does that make sense? Drop a comment in the comment sections of the video and let me know if that makes sense to you guys, all right? because I can further clarify this into simpler terms even. So, I mean, really, what more is there to say? Oh, well, there's a lot to say, right? Because we're fighting wars over this. So the problem with religion and spirituality is you could be very religious and not spiritual. And what does that look like? So when we talk about religion, people have a lot of rituals and beliefs. This is where rituals, beliefs kind of come into play here. What are some rituals and beliefs or some things that people engage in to strengthen their spirituality? In other words, what do you do to feel closer to you and universe, soul, source, energy? What do we do? All right. Some people go to church, right? Some people give tithes, in other words, offerings, monetary offerings. Some people, you know, we're going to get in the nitty-gritty here. Some people go to confession depending upon your religion. Some people eat a certain diet, right? Some people don't eat pork. Some people pray on certain, like, rosary beads. The list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? And I don't want to get too far down that list, because if this is a vehicle that strengthens this, what does a vehicle do? Takes you from one place to another, right? Let that sink in. A vehicle takes you from one place to another. And there are many different ways that we can travel to get from one place to another. So in this example, we are traveling where? We are traveling from human being to spiritual being. Because this is where our higher consciousness, I'm going to put HC here for higher consciousness. This is where higher consciousness, higher power, soul, you know, this is where it lives, the higher intelligence of us that we are, that is not separate from us or outside of us. Make sense? Oh, it's getting good now. Some of y'all didn't think I could break this down that quick. Never underestimate me. All right, so getting from human being to spiritual being. What are some things we do to get from here to here? How many different ways are there to travel? A vehicle is just, again, something that takes you from one place to another. So starting destination, ending destination. Well, if we think of a vehicle in sense of physical world, what do we have? We have cars, we have boats, we have planes, we have trucks, we have skateboards, we have roller skates, we could hang glide. There's a million different ways to go from one place to another in the physical world. But we're talking about going from one place to another in the emotional world, in the spiritual world, right? So people basically, and when we're talking about religion, have grouped together, again, a set of rituals, beliefs, morals, and values that certain groups have found beneficial to them in order to move them from human being to spiritual being, all right? And the reason we have so many, I want to add meditation here. I mean, this is so vast. Meditation, yoga, we could go on and on. Nature can be used as a vehicle. Music can be used as a vehicle as part of this, right? So if we really focus on this vehicle word, guys, that bad taste of religion, it goes away. It goes away. Again, in theory, it makes sense, but in real time, man has taken this concept of religion, and as time goes on, it's gotten more and more skewed. When all these ideas first began thousands of years ago, they were closer to the truth than our interpretation of what it is today. Okay? So we have to always keep that in mind. And so this is going to be really very a personal thing to each and every individual. All right? Sometimes we can group together with a bunch of people and we say, yes, I meditate too, or yes, I go to church, or yes, I kneel, or yes, I go to confession, or yes, I take communion, or yes, I do X, Y, Z. And we group together with these group of people that are also engaging in these behaviors, and then we label it, you know, we could say Catholic, Buddhist, a Taoist, you know, on and on and on and on and on. Okay? And that's all right, that's all well and good, but the problem lies, right? The problem lies with this. When I think the vehicle I use is the best choice and method of transportation, and I want to tell you that you should use it also. We don't like that, do we? And it's not cool. It's not. So I'm going to say that again. Let me give you an example. Let's say we're traveling from Ohio to Florida, right? We have a starting destination, we have an end destination, Ohio to Florida. Maybe I'm going to take a plane there, and maybe you decide you're going to walk there, because you can do that, right? Now, there are many different reasons why people choose methods of transportation, okay? Some might say, yes, I want to fly to Ohio to Florida because I want to get there as fast as I possibly can. Other people may say, well, you know what, I want to drive or I want to walk because I want to take in all the scenery and see what's around, right? Neither of those, there's not one that's better than the other. Flying to Ohio to Florida isn't superior to driving or walking, okay? And there's a million different ways to go in between even that. So we have to stop telling people how to get to where they're going. That's not for us to do. All we need to be worried about is, are we getting from where we are to where we want to go in the emotional and spiritual sense? And when you break it down like that, guys, it's just so ridiculous. Like, if we even take car examples, right? We don't go around on the interstate when we see somebody driving and say, oh, we don't flag them down and say, no. My Honda is much more of a better vehicle than your Subaru. You need to get off the road. We don't do that. Why? Because it doesn't make any sense. And we don't care. Because we're focused on our journey when we're on the road. We're focused on where we need to go. Right? But yet when it comes to this, we get so fucking screwy. We get crazy about this. And I can promise you, once you start getting fanatical on the end of telling everybody how they should drive or what vehicle they should take, you've most likely, I hate to break it to you, you've most likely lost the whole concept and the idea of the journey, which is the spiritual aspect of this, right? Which is getting in touch with you and you, the relationship between you and higher power. Because true spiritual alignment, right? When you're truly in spiritual alignment, you're not worried about what anyone else is doing. You're focused on you, okay? You're focused on you and getting to be where you need to be. Nobody drops bombs and fights wars in the name of God or the name of religion is in spiritual alignment at all. Hate to break it to you. Until that stops, until the judgment stops, until the ridicule stops. All this does in real time is facilitate more shame and guilt and pain and disconnection. And so people end up, there's the saying, throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? People end up attaching this to this, and then they throw everything out. And it's really not necessary. Because when we keep it simple like this, guys, what's there to be so worked up about? Nothing. You got to stay in your lane, just like you do on the road. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. And so, remember, you can be religious and not spiritual. But can you be spiritual and not religious? I think so. And which do you think you would rather be? Spiritual or religious? Now, you don't have to pick between the two, because obviously, after this fabulous explanation that I've given us, they're really not even up for comparison, right? They're not, because spirituality is the core of it, religion is the accent to it. So if you think of spirituality as the food, religion should be the salt, okay? And I believe there is a famous prophet who said, go out and be the salt of the earth. Well, what does salt do? Salt elevates the flavor of something. All right? It's not the flavor, but it elevates the flavor of something. In other words, it brings it out. It brings the best out of the food, the best taste out of the food. Okay? So if spirituality is the food, religion needs to be the salt and bring out the best of the human being, bring out the best of this person, this soul. But a lot of times it doesn't, because we're using it backwards again. Always, everything in this world is flipped. So if you just flip everything in the physical world, it'll get you to the spiritual world. That's a little added bonus secret, okay? Miss April hooked you up on that one. All right? 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, this puts the bad taste in it, and then we throw the whole entire plate of dinner out and we don't eat. So it's kind of, irrational to say, well, I don't want salt on my food because it makes it taste bad, so I'm going to throw the food out. Again, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You can't afford to do that, and then you end up lost and out of spiritual alignment, and you think spirituality is a bad word, and God is a bad word, and religion is a bad word. And a lot of you have experienced some pretty, extreme things in your life that you could justify why you don't want to engage in any of this. But the problem is this is always present. And so running away from that is like trying to run away from your left arm. You can't do it. It's always with you. Your soul is always with you because you are a soul. Make sense? All right, guys. Clarify one more time. Spirituality, the relationship between you, higher power, higher consciousness, soul, source, universe, energy, nature, Buddha, Allah, Tao. Don't care what you call it, but you are it. So technically, spirituality, the relationship between you and you, versus religion, the vehicle that strengthens the relationship between you and you, right? Through rituals, beliefs, values, actions, and behaviors that you engage in. So, spirituality is the food, religion is the salt. Got it? Got it. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Rehab for the Soul, session number 4, spirituality versus religion. Be on the lookout. I do post my videos every Monday, and we're so glad to have you. If there's something that you would like me to talk about, please drop me a line. Any topic is fair game. Until then, guys, you know what I say. It ain't perfect, but it's rock and roll.